I I was so wrong about streaming. What I thought it actually was and what it actually is totally different. Well, initially, what inspired me to start streaming is that I actually watched this video from Gary Vaynerchuk on like social media things to do in 2026 or something like that. It was actually a compilation of all the videos from before. But one of the things he said was, if you're working and if you're spending as much time on the computer anyway, you might as well just stream it and just show everyone what you're doing. This is funny because, and he gave the example of like someone asked him, so if you had a business which was doing uh, laundromats, like laundry business, what would you do as a content creator? And I think that's when Gary Vaynerchuk also said for this that you could actually go stream yourself doing laundry. And I was like, okay, well, if this is the advice that I had to follow, and I could actually just like literally just stream what I'm building every day, maybe someone might watch. But it's day 8. I haven't really found a legit uh, use case for someone to watch. And the more I learn about what streaming actually is, the more I realize it's less about the stream itself, like this building a business, more about the entertainment that comes with the stream. Because my initial assumption was like, oh, building a business is messy. There's so many different layers to it, people you're talking to. You need to take care of the product, the problem, understanding, talking to people, getting more insights, and there was like a lot of things to factor. And what I thought was it would be quite interesting to do this, right? But the reality is like, well, it is very hard to follow. I'm sure on like where things are and what am I doing each day. Because some parts are like, of course, vibe coding. Some parts are me just looking at reading a bunch of text and trying to understand what is actually happening. And yeah, I guess I will stick with it. I will try my. I'm gonna stick to the 30 days and see where it goes. And it's just an experiment, right? If you're here and you have some tips, just let me know how can I make the stream more interesting. The things that I learned from when I started is like, of course, the first day I was like, I just put my screen on and I was just doing my work. But then as I go, I'm starting to do a lot more narration. The last one, if you had watched, there was a lot more silence because um, I wasn't really feeling my best, I guess. Um, but today is better. Today, I think maybe I will try to do more talking. But let's see where this goes. For sure, I think the the skill for streaming is just you being able to keep entertaining yourself and entertaining everyone and just keep talking about some random things. I see a lot of streamers. I saw Theo. Um, Let me show you who Theo is. Theo, I think he's like it's called Theo Gigi or something. Theo Brown. This guy he streams on YouTube. Sorry, he streams on Twitch. I paid for his subscription because it's actually gated. You can only catch him live for free, or otherwise you need to pay for his past videos. And I saw, I th he wasn't really streaming a very specific topic, right? I mean, it was very random. It was like testing a new model or vibe coding. I've been vibe coding too much. Some of these like super clickbaity titles that makes you go like, oh, he is going to confess something, or he's going to, he did something crazy, he did a mistake. Like those things are like naturally tend to make people want to click his videos. And of course, he just does a bit of vibe coding, shares some little tips, and does a lot of things there. That's a very interesting format. I kind of have to think about that. But then the other category of streamers I saw is like this one Indian streamer and also this one streamer from uh, I think this other one streamer was the one that actually got me this idea. I think he had this thing called vibe coding until you make 1 million, right? This streamer was my whole inspiration in why I wanted to try this. Um, I think there is one interesting thing about this. See, there's like medium volume and low competition, right? So I think I'm at this very early phase of trying this whole vibe coding, streaming as a space, but and not a lot of people doing it. I saw one more Indian doing this. The one thing common, and honestly, the other person doing it is actually getting a lot more traffic and a lot more engaged viewers. And the one common thing is that the title, right? Vibe coding until I make 1 million, and that guy was like vibe coding until I make 1 CR, 1 crore rupees. I think that monetary angle to that definitely seems a bit more appealing into why people might want to stick around. I don't know if I just simply change the title, things will just naturally get better because I actually went to the content of both of them. It wasn't like anything like fundamentally different in terms of how the content was made. It's just a similar content. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more like things to watch because he's designing, he's building, and just vibe coding. But I'm doing a few other things. I'm figuring out the idea, validating it, and all of that stuff, right? Uh, yeah, but anyway, I think for now I'm just this is just um, to thinking of it as like my documentation. I'm just putting it out there in case you have any tips on how I could make this better. Uh, Let me know. But that said, let's keep going. Today we have made some progress. This guy Will from Fiverr, he's been really helpful. I met this guy. He is he's a consultant for like market research, and he's been super helpful in giving me inputs on what people are asking him. And he said like, you know, like this, he just gave it away for free. I didn't like he didn't even charge me for talking about this, and it's not like I paid nothing to get this inputs from him. So he was like, to cut to the chase, I'll answer the questions. I'll do only a couple of research pieces a month. So that sort of is indicative of the traffic he gets. It's a very small sample to generalize from, and you'll be building product decisions on my anecdotes, which is great. It's a very sensible advice. Happy to answer your questions regarding the problems. They vary enormously. Some people want competitive pricing for pitch deck. Some want validation in a market that exists before they come in. Some are prepping for a raise and need something an investor will take seriously. There isn't a repeating pattern I could point at. Okay, so solving it without internal company data, yes, it's all desk-based secondary research from public sources with AI doing all the heavy lifting. So essentially, he's doing it, and he's using AI to do it, and I'm just doing the same thing, except I'm like automating the full process. No surveys, no interviews, no fieldwork. Regarding the ICP, that varies too. Mostly early stage founders, often pre revenue, and they're buying a one off document for a specific moment, a raise, a plan, or board conversation. The thing is, early stage founders don't have money. They aren't the ones who are going to pay a subscription of $1,000 a month. So clearly there is a mismatch in terms of what who to position towards. So that needs to be thought about soon. So even though we build this tool, in all likelihood, this might not be for this like startups that have money. So It's going to be probably be targeted towards early stage founders, this specific keyword, but it's probably worth also investigating what late stage founders search for. Or um, I don't know if there's a way to know who like the keywords are searched by whom. I'm not sure, but you only can know a keyword traffic. But I guess there are ads that I can kind of see that are published for late stage startups or like startups that are generating revenue and see what kind of ads bring more clicks. And this is something I could do. So, yeah, I think that is one part to do. But I want to first like finish this the prototype. Let me show you the prototype we made. So 517, yes. So I want to see how I can finish this prototype by today. So it's it's got different sections. These are just like a one long scroll, and you have the side panel with um, different sections. So what it is doing is just competitive analysis, and we're doing a competitive analysis of a company. In this is just an example, and these are some key takeaways, some market competitive intelligence, how they evaluate companies compared by competitive relationship and market maturity, and then financial snapshot, and then funding history, and then market share analysis, and so on. There's a lot of information here, right? Again, I still don't know if this is what will sell, but I've asked Will again from Fiverr if this is something. I sent him the prototype and asked him, okay, is this something that will sell, right? I think, wait, I already built a prototype. It's placeholder data. They're a digital project product commerce platform, but the idea is I could scrape the web and populate this information under 30 minutes. So let's probably just go ahead and build this. I mean, it's a simple tool, right? So I guess that's what we will do today. Uh, so let me go back to my project, and I I did some research earlier on how to what sort of tech I should be using for this. So it gave I just tried to simplify everything. I didn't want to manage a lot of tech in this, and I just wanted to put it all in one tech provider. So it's all managed in one place. I got some credits from Vercel, so thanks to Vercel for doing that. And I have, uh, because of this, I can pick Vercel. I also have some credits from MongoDB. So I could use Vercel and MongoDB to host this, and hopefully I wouldn't have to pay anything. And let's see, I think we can test it out. How to scrape it, we're going to build it right now. So this is how the flow is going to look like. First, there's going to be an intake, an email verification. So you enter your company and then you enter who are your competitors. And we start a Vercel workflow, right? Workflow is like a research uh, job. So every time, so when it's out on the internet, you'll have many people starting many research jobs, and we need some sort of a queue because every time, like if concurrent people, if many people try to start a research job at the same time, the system will kind of overload and you will be paying a lot more for computing. So it's better to create a queue, and if like the queue is really long, of course, the waiting time would increase, but I think that's something we can optimize later. But the system should be designed in a way that there is a queue, and the queue just like keeps completing one research at a time and just sending an email back to the person who triggered it. Then there's discover and verify competitors, which is just, you enter let's say you just enter a domain that doesn't exist or a name of a company that has no online presence. Then we cannot do this thing. So we need like a gate to validate if this is something that is a company for whom we can do this research to begin with, right? And then there is research modules using AI SDK agents. So this is just doing the research. I guess today we will be spending a lot of time here. Firecrawl search and scraping. Firecrawl is this really cool service that take care of scraping an entire website. So the issue with this is there are a lot of open source code. Even Firecrawl is open source in some way. There's a lot of open source um, tools to scrape it yourself. The problem is these bots. A lot of websites have bots and they don't allow you to scrape. So Firecrawl tries to do anti-bot crawling. So what they do is they have their own hosted instances where they try to imitate an actual human trying to use the website, and they constantly keep figuring out how to create these sort of bot injection algos to bypass that and then scrape the contents inside it. So Firecrawl is going to be super useful for us to grab everything from a website and then store it in some place that we can access later. And then uh, MongoDB is a database, so we will normalize the evidence. We just take it, clean it up, organize it, because the way Firecrawl will give it back to us is will be in a markdown format or an HTML. So we need to clean it up, format it in a way we need, and then um, do some quality checks. That's finally the thing that we need to do to before we present it to the user, and then finally we create an interactive web report. So there is a lot going on. Our first focus today is just going to be around research modules using SDK agents and then Firecrawl scraping uh, and this. So what I have done is I took this entire thing and I created a textspec.md file. It just summarized all my discussion and figured everything that I am going to do and just put it here, right? So let me see how to, and we need to think about how to go from here, right? So uh, this is the fun part. Um, just a minute. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna hide these problems to be solved. Target companies, niche, wedge differentiation, customers, lead magnet product. Okay. So now we're gonna work on tech, right? So we currently have a list of platforms, list of platforms, which is mostly Vercel in techspec.mb, right? So this is what we have, uh, decided list of platforms. Then we need to figure out, I actually don't know exactly how the data flow would itself look like, right? So need to figure out. So maybe we can just split it at what's complete and what to figure out, right? So then we can put this into what's complete, and to figure out, we need to know how is information going to be stored in these platforms, and how do we access them to How do we access them to parse and show inside the prototype? This is the part we need to figure out. I think let's try to understand conceptually how we will build this first, and then we go into uh, like building it itself. So once again, opening my chat GPT. Um, okay, so I will put my project folder in this Sunlight prototype. Yeah, it's the one. And let me go back to Sol because I want a smart model here. I'm not like, doing a lot of tokens, not going to be burning a lot of tokens, but I would definitely need better intelligence. And okay, so Whisperflow. In this folder, we have a prototype. And this prototype is uh, understand what the entire project is about from the project folders. Uh, what we are planning to, the goal now is to understand how our entire scraping process and parsing and population of the scraped data would happen from a technical point of view. What? This is not what I said. This is weird. In this folder, I have attached a prototype of what we're building. Okay, that was weird. Um, okay, our goal right now is to understand the tech behind how we're going to implement this. We already have a tech spec document, and you can understand everything about what we're building in the project folders. The thing to figure out is technically, how are we optimizing the scraping and where are we storing? Are we storing it in vectors? Are we storing it in just as plain text? How are, given the tech spec document we have, is that enough for us to get the most accurate information uh, from the web? I understand we are using Firecrawl to scrape the web and store all of that information inside MongoDB in some way. I assume this, but validate it and challenge it. But this information that I scrape, of course, may not answer all the questions or all the data points that we need to capture in the prototype. So once we scrape, is our plan to turn it into vectors and store it in the MongoDB vector database? Does MongoDB have a vector database? And is the retrieval from this going to be in a sequential way? So we go one card at a time and then try to answer all of this question with evidence from this source. We will also include Exa, Tavily, and LinkUp as our search providers. And we will need to also use this to capture things like total addressable market and all the other market related information. And of course, there's so many other things here as well. So partly there's scraping and partly there is fetching from the internet. And we also need to make sure we have the latest data because it's time sensitive. So when we are trying to say the total addressable market, we shouldn't be putting a market in 2003 and highlighting that in this snapshot, while for another competitor is 2026. So these kind of edge cases needs to be handled. And yeah, let's solve these step by step. So first go and gather all the requirements and summarize if you've understood everything that needs to be figured out. And if I've missed it, any edge case, populate that as well. So we have everything neatly captured in one place for all the problems to be solved. Let me bring this to extra high and let's run this. Think so. This AI models being a predictive engine, this is one of the advantages of this because you are making it throw a lot of things that you may have missed. And the way you prompt is just for it to come up with everything else. So for example, in this case, I said I may have missed something. So first, go and gather all the requirements. So just understand what we have in context and put it in context. So because it knows what I'm building. And if I've missed any edge cases, populate that as well. So this is going to go make sure everything is covered. So right now, the whole objective is to increase the surface area of everything that needs to be a part of this problem solution process. And once that's there, I think then like deciding the right solution shouldn't be so hard. And that's the whole premise of this approach. The core requirement is evidence first, time aware research system. Not simply, okay, this is just repeating what I'm saying. Not scrape pages, turn everything into vectors, and ask LLM to fill each card. I reviewed the current prototype tech specs. all 51 pages of the original reference text. Important findings. The current text specs does not say that scraped content is stored in MongoDB vectors. It specifies raw factor responses, metadata, no embedding model, chunking scheme, vector, no embedding model, chunking scheme. The tech spec is a good platform skeleton, but not yet adequate research system specification. So of course, need to update tech spec to figure out update to do update tech spec with revised revised approach, revised approach with new considerations. Okay. It decides orchestration, services, recovery, evidence states, and broad collections. It does not yet define how to achieve accurate, comparable current answers. A vector database should be a secondary retrieval index, not the source of truth. Exact prices, dates, and customer count, blah, 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 and evidence relationships need structured records. Vectors help locate relevant narrative passages. They should not be relied on exact numerical comparison. Search is not evidence. I interpreted your provider's list as Firecrackers, except Estabili and LinkUp. Search providers should discover candidate sources. The system still needs to capture the underlying source, exact the supporting passage. The project currently contains 3 different scopes that need reconciliation. Earlier prototype, Lightspeed versus Toast. Pricing packages only. Current UI, Kajabi plus Mini as 8. Competitors across 51 page, longer term product, continuously monitored monetization. While the tech spec assumes a focal company plus only 2 to 3 competitors, that conflicts both with the current prototype and the historical data mode described in the project brief. The older documents do not build scraping instruction. Okay, what the research system must produce. I think some of these previously attached project files are now outdated. That's why that's this conflict. What the research system must produce requires 5 different classes of information. Directly observable public facts, public but provider dependent estimates. Okay, website traffic, SEO, blah, blah, blah. Sparse but inconsistently disclosed facts, internal private data, derived intelligence. Okay, so these are the different kinds of, the complete card level coverage is defined in this. Okay, required research data model. Before optimizing scraping, every report field needs a registry containing stable field identifier and definition, applicable company product market, expected value type and load units, required comparison unit, and so on. The evidence model needs more than the prototype's current shape. Okay, so XR, Tavily, LinkUp, and search APIs, selective capture and normalization, corpus metadata in MongoDB, immutable raw response and normalized text in Virtual Blob, schema-driven extraction, okay, optional chunks and embeddings in MongoDB Atlas Vector Search, structured metrics, claim, and evidence in MongoDB, freshness, consistency, and evidence checks, immutable report snapshot. Okay. Freshness and temporal comparison requirements published at retrieval rate is not the same as data period per page. Okay. For your time, every market needs. Decision still required. Let's continue with this then. Let's make things clear and then we can capture the requirement, how we're doing it, and then maybe that gives like a good baseline to to try to solve one small problem and then create a loop for AI to solve the same problem for all other use cases. So that's the plan. So decisions freeze the product horizon one time, 2 to 3 company report, or continuous 40 to 50 company database. One time, it's a one time about 8 competitors, and it's a one time report. That's not changing. So if there's any other conflicting instructions, let's just clear this right now. Create a complete field registry from prototype plans. What do you mean? What's a field registry? Classify every field as public. Okay, I think that makes sense. I think we can just use public. And yes, if it is from a provider, we need to have some tracing back to which provider gave us that information. So later it can be validated. Yes. I don't know what temporal model and compatibility rules are, but sounds like might be required. Yes, we need to find out the storage model. That needs to be figured out. I think this is the number one thing to figure out right now because I need you to help me visualize how are we like help me visualize where is all this. Show me, like, give me an example card. Let's just take the first card or any card that is best to show me this example and show from which source what are we going to get, how is it, where is it going to store, and how are we going to retrieve in like just a diagram. Okay, 7. Define provider routing, when to use. Yes, you need to decide that as well and show me how to do this. Um, design hybrid retrieval, structured filtering, exact text search. Yeah, yes, I think we need to decide how to do this, but I think this is too early to decide because you probably let's test the nuances of how we're retrieving by actually retrieving something and actually trying to figure one thing out, right? So we're going to do that. So let's let me know if this is the right time to actually go retrieve one information and then see if what kind of filtering exact search we need, and then we decide if how to do this. 9. Define extraction novelty schema. Yes. 10. Build quality gates and evaluations, field accuracy, citation correctness, coverage, freshness. Yes, but let's try to do solve one small problem first, and then in that some of these decisions would already be made, and from there we try to expand it for others. Design historical change detection. Yes, yes. Overall, we are okay to adjust the tech specs. So probably the new instructions is different from what was already outdated in the documents attached in context. So let's take this new requirement and figure this out together and then update the tech specs. Create a .env file. Uh, I will create a .env file. Uh, you give me a .env.example file so I can put all the API keys So you can use that for testing. And let's first decide what are we testing. Are we like pick a card first? Pick one card and let's use Kajabi as the focal company. And yes, let's pick one card first and let me see which one and then I'll just tell you. I think what we can pick now is let's try to do, see, a lot of this is just analysis after we have all that data. So maybe let's try to pick financial snapshot, right? This is all, uh, a lot of cards are just the overall analysis of all kinds of information we retrieved and summarizing the overall landscape. We can pause that for now and come back to later. For now, let's focus on the cards where we are just retrieving and taking structured data to populate this. Let's take the example of a financial snapshot for now. Um, then I will put the API keys and then we will try this out. So I will have to warp. Okay, so let me uh, open this in my code editor so I can create a .env file over here. If you don't know what .env is, it's just a file to, there you go. It already created an example file. It's so fast. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go fill out these keys and let's see what happens. Exa, exa key, link up key. On this note, someone from gonna not show you all my emails. Someone from LinkUp actually reached out asking if I wanted to know someone from Tavily. Okay, these free credits are the best part of like building this. I don't have, I don't know if I have any credits left on Tavily. Let me check. Yeah, oh, I think I've exhausted all my Tavily credits. So I can't use Tavily. I have some on Excel left, but let's just use this. Um, okay, I need to get the key for Firecrawl. Okay, got my API key for Firecrawl. Wow, there's so many more keys. I think I also need to get AI gateway key from Vercel. Let me do that. I have 1,000 free credits on Firecrawl. That's nice. Okay, got my Vercel key. That was easy. AI model. Think which AI model do I pick? Which AI model do I pick? Something not too expensive and best for this use case. I'm sure it's going to say the best AI model with OpenAI. I'm not going to say choose Kimi or something else. Let's see. I'm thinking maybe GPT-5 mini or even 4 mini is actually more expensive than GPT-5 mini. So spend budget. Um, I'll put $100 budget. Email the keys creator when 75% and 100%. Okay. Yeah, thought that. See, uh, GPT-5 mini is the thing that they want me to set it up. Mm-mm-mm. So I need to see what are the models. Model list. GPT-5 mini. Yeah, this is the one. I think MongoDB, which is the database, I can configure it later. Anyway, so environment keys are set. Environment keys are set. Now pick a card. Now show me the card first. Which card we're gonna try and extract this data. What just happened? Okay, so of course it's opening the prototype within and okay, so here is the financial snapshot. Okay, great. Okay, so what's the step one of extracting this? Let's go one step at a time. Step one is to define exactly what counts as a valid answer for each field. Otherwise, retrieval may find impressive looking but incomparable. Kajabi financial assumption. Target market, funding, ownership, customer scale, current ownership status, and prefer active paying customer counts. I think maybe it might also help to set up the MongoDB. Um, because I got a lot of credits on MongoDB as well. So I probably is better to set this up too, because then I can um, use it for testing. GMT +2. Vienna, so I'm just setting the time zone of this MongoDB. Okay. So help me find these from my MongoDB. Okay. So let's go back to okay, target market, customers prefer active paying customer. Okay, every extracted value must include exporting source, plain passage. This prevents us from sending six. Okay, okay. So let's pick one first. Maybe target market. Where would we search this? And can you pull out one? Let's go one step at a time, baby steps, and then once we have things clear, then it will be much faster. But that's the downside. Initially, it feels like this will take a very long time. We search Kajabi's own website because this is positioning claim. Okay, target market, priority order. Who is it for? Um, so discover page, Kajabi's page is the evidence, captures the selected page afterwards. Kajabi's homepage, who is it for, or customer about page. So, so does it make sense to just scrape all of Kajabi's pages, or would it be an overkill? I think it might just be an overkill because if I go to kajabi.com, I probably not everything is useful. Like, why would I want to scrape, I mean, updates, all of these definitely I want to scrape. Hire a Kajabi expert. I don't want to scrape this. But this is actually a good, see, I don't want to scrape privacy notice. I don't want to, oh, what just happened? Oh shit, it closed it. I don't want to scrape, for example, the help center. So I think we need to be like a little, probably like one pass in like what we want to scrape, and then we do all the scraping, right? Target scraping everything would be an overkill. For the complete report, the right distinction is map the whole site, collect its URL from site mapping without downloading every page, scrape selectively, capture only pages relevant to a defined field. For a target market, we likely need only 3 to 8 pages. Homepage, about page, who is it for? Okay, so how do we map the whole site? So Firecrawl has a current site mapping endpoint. That's cool. Firecrawl site mapping. Okay, see, when you need to prompt the end user which thing to scrape, Firecrawl already thought about all of this. Okay, great. Okay. We use Firecrawl's map endpoint, mapping discovered URLs and basic metadata. Does not know. Okay, that's good. For Kajabi's main website, the request would be this and give us records such as blah blah blah. Okay, let's do it. Okay, try it out. Let's do the site mapping using Firecrawl. Use the API key. Okay, so let's try it. So what's next? Next, do we know which, following this process, did we narrow the 30 links? You can use the Vercel AI gateway to build a temporary code to do this classification as well. Save the code you are using somewhere so we can later use it to build the production code reference when using AI. Yeah, it did better than Plan 30. Only 18 URLs met the candidate. The first seven are sensible, the several low. This includes deterministic code. Homepage. So no AI use. It narrowed to 18 candidates, fewer than maximum shortlist of 30. Um, how is it doing this deterministic? So deterministic is just like no AI, and it's just figuring out which URLs are relevant. How are how are you deterministically showing which of these URLs are relevant? Can you show me what how that code actually works? Hey Daru, where are you from? Uh, Thanks for being the first person to initiate a chat. Curious to hear what you're finding interesting in this live stream. In case you don't know, what we're building is an AI agentic platform for competitive intelligence. Great, welcome. I have been to KL many times. I was working with Grab in Kuala Lumpur, and yeah, if you've used Grab in KL, you probably used the stuff I built there. I built the KYC flow for Grab. This was a long time ago, over 6 years ago. Beautiful place. Are you able to follow what I'm building? I'm fairly new to this live streaming, so just trying out a few things. So I'm curious to know, or is it just too many things happening and it's hard to follow? Ah, cool. Yes, Grab is. There's so many people working at Grab now. They're such a monopoly in Southeast Asia now. And what are you working on? Curious to hear. Are you also building some agentic stuff? Are you vibe coding something? The both layers are now saved as reusable production references. So, okay, the four selected pages are okay. So it figured this, and AI run costed seven like 0.07 cents. Stream my work process, but there's no. You know, Daru, I have been going through the uh, same thought process now. Um, I mean, honestly, that's very cool. I'm also just figuring out what is an interesting format. At the start of this live stream, I spoke a bit about this, right? I think like what I'm right now doing is just streaming. I'm not thinking about how to create the content more engaging and all of that, which will obviously happen in time because this is just day 8. I think a good way to start this, I think Gary V said in one of the videos, just try, just stream and see. That's what I'm doing. Maybe in a few days, maybe in 10, 20 days, things will start to get better because you start doing a little better each stream. But the whole streaming game, from my understanding, is just to engage the audience, create the vibe, not the content. So it's easier as a concept to say, but it's really even I'm figuring out how to make a vibe. It's, there's no like a prescriptive format to do this. Okay, 1598 mapped URLs, normalize. Oh, by the way, where do you work? Are you working somewhere as a designer? Normalize and deduplicate, classify page family, apply fixed scoring rules, candidate deferred, excluded AID rank. Assign fixed if extract home page. We decided certain are more likely to contain for how, like if page family is home page, add exact home page 30. About, okay. No, I think this there's an issue here. So um, this deterministic code has some gaps because in this case we are looking for target market, but what if you're looking for funding ownership? What if you're looking for company scale? Uh, I think having positive terms is not the probably not the best way to deterministically know which links are useful. Um, can you tell me, like, go through all the different data points and all the different use cases for which this deterministic code will apply? And from that, uh, tell me a better way to narrow down on these URLs first. Yeah, exactly. See, here's where even if you have the best model, sometimes the the code that it creates, especially deterministic code, is very specific to this use case. And sometimes you wanted to consider a wide range of scenarios before it writes code. And this is one of those things I noted when I was working with AI. And a lot of it created so much slop because it only considered one narrow use case and the use case of what it was working for. Yeah, so Daru, I am this is uh, I'm building towards a business, right? So it is an experiment in some way, but what I'm building right now is just a free tool. It probably won't be free because now I'm starting to realize there is a lot more costs involved in having this tool. But there is a demand for this tool. It's a competitive intelligence tool, and what I'm doing is I'm just building this so I can get some initial traction. This is not going to be the big high ticket product, but it'll be the one that will bring some initial traffic. So I am actually going to build it. It is going to have payments. I'm going to run an ad on it and then see who is getting it and who's signing up and using it, right? So it is like the entire process. So I am building for this use case. Positive keywords tied to one field will not generalize across funding, ownership, scale, and rest of the report. I'm going to inventory every card field, then group them by evidence behavior. See, it's just going, hmm, kind of, yes. It is like, yes, you could say it is like Crunchbase. That's correct. But it's not just focusing on the funding data, but maybe I might scrape Crunchbase for the funding data, but it's comparing different competitors. So if you take any company, it will create like I can show you the prototype, right? So it's taking it's doing several things. So there's the summary, the market, the team, the product, the marketing. It is doing an extensive mapping of every single aspect of this uh, the competitive space. So Kajabi in this case is the example company, and in pricing and packaging, see it's comparing how much costs, what is the structure, what is the services, like it's comparing a lot of things. So Crunchbase is one aspect of it. So I could say it's like a bigger Crunchbase plus a lot of other features as well. Typically this is used by marketing teams or product teams to understand the competitive space and know what is someone else doing better and did they introduce something new, because there's also like an updates section. So this will have a constant flow of what happened in your competitive space. So Circle introduced this. Circle had what can this company Kajabi do because Circle like introduced a new feature. So It's a competitive intelligence tool. The current positive term scorer is a wrong abstraction. It's useful for target market experiment, but should not be generalized. The deterministic layer should answer which source roots must be inspect. Should not write answer. Does this URL contain the answer? Competitive landscape derived from target market, role of supporting only. Field registry acquisition route, official catalog site, um, official catalog, site catalog, open web search, structured data provider, internal system, deterministic source, page types, small candidate budget per route, how each, this is a lot of information. I am not really understanding what it's saying. So simplify and explain the deterministic code part. How do we narrow the URLs in a non-technical way? I'm also not a developer, so um, sometimes even I find it hard to wrap my head around a lot of technical terms. I can spend some time and understand, but given the number of things we're doing, I don't want to spend too much time there. Deterministic simply means I know that. We narrow your three sort pages by what kind of page they are. We place every Kajabi URL into reusable folder. We do this from the URL structure, not from the target market keywords. Give each data point a source recipe. I haven't checked for global and contrary, but I will check it out. Probably something like that. So probably another data point, right? So ELI5, what does that mean? I'm not hearing it for the first time. Is it like it's like a way to explain something? Google it. ELI5. Oh, explain like I'm five. That's a nice one. Yeah, I've seen that subreddit. That's cool. Yeah, I will try that. Um, that's a nice abbreviation to just use it. That's a cool one. Thanks, Taro. Nice. Short pages by what kind of page they are. We place every Kajabi or reusable folder. And okay, we each data point to a source recipe. Target market, set a page limit for each folder. For funding, the recipe might be up to 5 official. Okay, let's let's test this code for a bunch of use cases. Let's pick 10 uh, 10 inputs, run the code, and show me what outputs we get. Um, let me review them manually. So we are doing evals as we build and take a manual look at it. We're still at this like deterministic code phase, and maybe that's required anyway. In this deterministic code, we are trying to figure out which URLs is relevant for what information that we're trying to scrape is so important because that I think creates this base for every single scraping we are doing here. So probably better to spend a little more time to make sure it's working. There are lots of things like, for example, PR quarter, PR activity. This is, I think, to know this, we need to find the URL that is most useful for um, blog posts to know which how many blogs they have posted in the last quarter, which is such a there's a few steps to figuring this out. So I think we need to go one by one, and there is no way to just finish like just follow the same process and do it for all of them because there might be a lot of edge cases. So, but we can, if we figure out one, I think we would be able to use some of that, reuse some of that knowledge for the others. So honestly, the reason I'm using Sol is because it's cheaper and I I mean I tried Fable, but it's really good. But the thing is, it exhausts really fast. For me, doesn't matter how much Sol I use, it doesn't seem to exhaust at all. And I use a lot more Sol than I use um, the cheaper models like Terra, and it just works. It just doesn't break. And I think that is only the cost is the reason I'm using it. I don't think Opus is as good. I feel like Opus is very bad at capturing instructions. It always screws up for me. It just does what I don't ask and seems dumber and dumber. So, and also it seems to exhaust my limits faster. So if I have two, three windows running at the same time, my weekly will just drain. But I think Claude recently increased their limits, so maybe it's a good time to try again, because a lot of people seem to be like leaving Claude for OpenAI. And if you, I don't know, are you following X? There's just like a whole group of people who are hating on Claude. I'm not trying to be one of them, but it's honestly, I'm personally having a bad experience with it. So for me, I think just for the limits sake, this is better. But in the future, I think maybe would be good to have a few of them. I would try Kimi 3. I would have maybe Claude and OpenAI at the same time and try to keep switching between models depending on the kind of task I'm doing. But I'm not doing that now, but I'm using Solve for this. Okay. So I ran 10 input field against Kajabi's mapped URLs using only page types and source recipes. No AI and no post. Home, product, 5 audience pages, funding and ownership, zero official URLs, external required, customer scale, 3 URLs, homepage about creator stories, annual revenue, zero, company profile, homepage, about homepage. Sounds about right. Pricing and packaging, pricing, product capabilities, uh, positioning, homepage about product, content overview, blog, resources, learn, partner terms, integrations. Okay, sounds about right. But the thing is, not all this information will be available. Um, Not all this information will exclusively be available in the source website, in the product website. So we need to decide if that's the only source, or we need to decide if that source gives us legit information. If not, we try another source. So we need to come up with this logic. Mm, I want to try something else as well. So maybe um, can you try the deterministic code to check um, product reviews, and what would it give? Specifically, actually, yeah, just product reviews. Uh, you're on Opus 5, 19%, 1%. Oh, cool. So you pay for both Opus and Sol. Okay. Yeah, there are many people like you, Daru. This is like so many people leaving and giving up on Opus. What's the problem for you? Is it that you're running out of limits, or it's just like not as smart? Sticking to Opus was because I built my entire app that I'm very close to submitting to the stores. Shall try Sol post launch. Yeah. Uh, which app did you build? Is it on iOS, or is it a web app? Uh, put a link to your landing page. I would love to check it out. And how long did this take you to build? And did you build it like all on Opus and Fable? Definitely encourage you to check out Sol. It's great. I mean, it's like unlimited frontier intelligence. That's the feeling you get if you are on your $200 plan. Kajabi's on-site is not acceptable review source. It can provide. Okay, so check product reviews. The routing Kajabi's on-site was rejected, and one direct Kajabi review profile was found on each of the quite independent platform. Comparison pages were rejected, even when the search provider ranked them highly, validating the selected URL satisfy the written policy for showing you the results. That is true. That is true. I end up reading a lot more. Even with this, um, so although it does make you read a lot about, like, for simple things, it just goes so write such a long thing. I tried Caveman. That's a skill to write shorter responses. Not sure you probably would have heard it, man. But Caveman is also like even then it's like pretty technical. I think it's good to spend some time to really tune the way AI should respond. I haven't found time to do that. The product reviews work. The determining is Kajabi website legitimate independent source review. The answer was no. Testimonials and creator stories are selected by Kajabi. Nice. Expo and React Native. Should also try Flutter. I use Flutter, but I've heard a lot of good things about Expo. Search only 3 approved review platforms and selected. How did deterministic code figure this out? I'm going to try your ELI5. Um, the code did not understand product reviews. It wrote this as we do not use Kajabi's own website. Look inside. Look radius, look inside. Software advice, search every website for Kajabi reviews. Librarian and return positive page. Returnees could then check each URL with simple rules. So Firecrawl is okay. Show me the flow from, let's say you want to get one example. Let's say pricing and packaging. From pricing and packaging to deterministic code to Firecrawl, show me the entire flow. Okay, so question, what does Kajabi charge? Well, I wonder how this question even pricing source recipe, preferred source Kajabi, Firecrawl maps Kajabi, preferred source Kajabi's official pricing, URL returns, deterministic code sorts URL by page type, entry price, monthly annual billing, load the source recipe. Okay, deterministic code decides that the official pricing page is where we should look at. Firecrawl captures it. I'm specifically curious. Yeah, for sure. It will, there will be a lot of tokens spent on this. Um, I, yeah, I think the free is probably not going to be possible. I think what I might do is scrape some for free. So give, maybe spend 50 cents or something. And then for the remaining, if you have to scrape, if you want to continue scraping, you need to pay something. That's probably a better model, right? Maybe not like too expensive. I'm thinking maybe like 20, $25 a scrape uh, might work out. Need to check. This is something uh, to do. Mm. This is the part I'm finding it hard to wrap my head around. So when, like, show me how exactly the deterministic code will process this. So if the keyword is pricing and packaging, do you turn the keyword into a question, or how does the keyword go into finding if the Kajabi has this information or not? Like, tell me, what does this deterministic code actually say for this, and explain it in non-technical way. Okay, the deterministic code does not understand the word pricing and packaging, does not automatically turn that label into a question. Instead, we manually write a recipe for every known report field in advance. Think of it as recipe book. Okay, cool. So we do this upfront. So field name, pricing and packaging, question what, blah, official page types allowed, pricing page. Um, I think this makes sense because now we can actually go and figure out this information for all. And this doesn't have to be on the fly, right? Because we always already know if pricing and packaging is going to be in the website or not. So this makes total sense. Um, oops. The question is stored for later AI extraction step, the deterministic URL selection. only uses this part. Allowed page types, pricing, pricing detail. But okay, I may be wrong because we don't know. We can decide for Kajabi, but we don't know something else. Some other website or competitors' sitemap may contain this. So how Kajabi's URLs are processed. Firecrawl gives URLs such as this. Looks at the URL folder structure. Okay, official page types allowed. Maximum fee. The deterministic URL selection code uses only this part. Allowed page types. Mm, how Kajabi's URLs are processed. Firecrawl gives URLs such as these. The deterministic code looks at the URL's folder structure, and the first folder is pricing. The rule says if the URL begins with pricing, label it as pricing page. Result page type is equal to pricing. URL2 for blog, the URL begins with blog, label it as blog article. Result page type is equal to blog article. Even though the URL contains the word pricing, it is not classified as pricing page. Okay. URL3 updates, the folder is updates. Again, the word pricing doesn't make the pricing page. So Kajabi.product. Then the code compares the page types. Okay, pricing detail. The classified URLs are pricing allowed, yes. Blog article, no. Product update, no. Therefore, the output is pricing. In very simple terms, the actual code says when researching product and pricing, open the recipe book, find the pricing and packaging recipe. The recipe says accept pricing page, look through the map URL. Okay, makes sense. Does this prove the page contains pricing? No, this is important distinction as this point the code only knows URL looks at the correct recipe. Place to investigate, it does not know price visible. Okay, what if the website uses plans instead? There is a real edge case. The competitor might use plans. The production page classifier therefore needs to use it usable. None of the recognized path exists, the code must not guess it returns. So every field does automatically manually correct each fixed field to the types. Okay, so I think obviously the recipe book that it says reusable list of structural aliases. Yes, um, so the recipe book obviously needs to have a, a very um, rich list of structured alias or a very reusable list, mm, because that then helps sort of but that then helps this deterministic code to work better. But also, I want to compare that with non-deterministic code. If we already know if which are the titles and we have the 1500 URLs, and I don't assume the context window would be so huge. Even if there's 1500 URLs, that's like 1500 tokens. Probably not 1500, 1500 into maybe 10 or 15, right? So it's like 15,000 tokens. So let's see what the price is. Like, what if I used one LLM call to figure out from the source map URLs if for every section, just one thing for every section, it just categorizes if this information will be available or not. Can we try to, can we test that and see if this is a workable solution? Um, could you ask AI to do the research for you, why would you still, man, that's the thing, right? The Daru. So the issue is the accuracy. That's a very good question, actually. I mean, I've been thinking about it. The thing is, AI will do a web search, and like for you to still figure out all of this information and putting them together in this format will take time. I heard from someone yesterday who works in marketing that their team actually does this. Like they go and do web search, they use AI, they go and like search each of them. So it's still a pretty time intensive thing to go research all of this thing. And if you're just gonna put your template and get AI to do this, you still have to go verify some of this, right? And there's a lot of chance of error here. But I might be wrong. Just like if you have a different look take to this, let me know because AI would just like do a web search and find a blog that was 2 years ago and just find the entry price. I've seen this, and then the reality is in its pricing page, it would be something else. This is an example. Maybe it's more smarter about pricing, but the web search gives so many different results, and it's hard to know if you can actually trust that result. And there's no source linking, right? You cannot go back to, I mean, for one answer, you can go back, but let's say you give this template and ask AI to fill everything, uh, it's not very reliable. But I may be wrong, but you're right. Maybe it's good to just put this into AI, this template, and say, can you fill it out and maybe test it? That's the only way to know. Yeah, if it works, then I guess, and if it's reliable, then probably not even needed, right? I will give this a try. Thanks for the tip. But then again, I think there are these platforms that do a lot more intelligence. So even if this can get us a foot through the door, there is a lot more information that we can get after gathering this data. So this doing this research is one small part, but what we do with all of this structured data is, I think, where we can have that true intelligence that we can get. And having the structured data in a repeated historical uh, trace gives even more insight. So, what did it look like last quarter? What did it look like this quarter? And having that automation and trying to keep full track of everything can give new kinds of intelligence, right? So, I mean, like this AI, the whole AI space is just about how much volume of data you have and how can you tell a story with it. And it's just this, what we're building is probably getting us that first step of like being able to capture it. Maybe once we have all of that, then we will find like, see over here, look at things like this. Builders want faster answers and less friction. They're switching to tools that deliver. This I can only get if I can scrape all the user feedback and sentiments and all of that, right? And have a clear picture of what users wanted last quarter and what users want this quarter. So I need to build this anyway. So yeah, that's probably one case I can think of. But yeah, um, if you have a different suggestion, I'm very curious to hear. Yeah, it's data scraping over a long period of time and more volume of data based on users' request. I think that's where I think the value of a subscription would also come in, right? Because right now the value of a subscription is like right now this seems like a one-off pay once product. Doesn't there's no value in a subscription. So I think that's where I need to be clear on what is this, what can an AI do if it can scrape this information over a long period of time? And that needs to come out clearly in the landing page. I have also experienced this with AI. Every time it falls back to a deterministic approach. And the deterministic approach will not scale for a lot of wide range of use cases. And for some reason, AI always chooses to do this. So if I just asked AI to write a spec and build this thing, the solution would be so sloppy because every decision it would make would be deterministic. So the LLM can decide whether information is, it cannot confirm the information exists until we scrape. Okay, that's fine. Sitemap URLs 57, research fields evaluated 27, input tokens, this is zero point 0.1 cents. This is fine. Um, I think that should not be so. Um, oh, so 8 competitors would be a lot. Okay, I think I missed that. Zero point 0.1 cents, more details. See, was the measured cost of single GPT-5 call. So the input token was this for 1.9 cents. See, it'd be 0.15. It's not the total research cost. This experiment showed that the cost probably isn't the reason to build a deterministic. At 2 cents per company, it's useful because it tells us something when the model is cheap. You can probably afford an LLM to use a semantic code. What the model decided across 27 fields, 13 official website, 9 external public source. It flagged 5 fields that require source parity documents. Uh, 5 fields. Source parity card race. It treated creator testimonials as product review evidence. It treated Kajabi integrations as Kajabi's internal use tech stack. Oh my God. Okay. It treated product updates as independent news mentions. It selected a 2019 event article, selected old CEO posts. It also exposed deterministic processing cloud. Firecloud returned both. What is this? Oh, okay, just a slash. Recommended product approach. Firecrawl sitemap, deterministic cleanup, one LLM call to fetch all fields. Yeah, just a second. Deterministic source policy. Okay. What if I'm just brainstorming here where in the MVP or if not building an MVP early phase, focus on the output. If you're not building an MVP but early phase, what I mean is figuring out the ways to structure the data and make it easy to consume visually. That's what we're doing, right? So the data is already structured and it's already in that tabular format. And now, after we have that prototype, we are scraping and just like structuring the data and incrementally stored data that your early users search for, since you could easily obtain this data online these days. So I'm not sure if I fully understand your point, but this data structure is already figured out, right? So we are, at least for the initial version, only scraping all of this data and it's already neatly structured. So what you're saying, I assume, is like if we ask for more, if the user asks for more information, that data is like stored for the future, right? We can do that, yes. But the step one is to just exactly get all the structured data and reliably get it, and then try to capture these analysis and takeaways. Or if I, let me know if I missed something, right? We need deterministic structural cleanup, a small registry describing each field and source types, one sitemap routing LLM calls per company, deterministic rejection of. Okay, let's try this approach. Show me a use case and let me evaluate the output. Show me 10 examples. Yeah, exactly. I think yeah, we're referring to the same thing, right? The idea is just to, that's why I have this prototype. This prototype is not generated on the fly. Only the information in this prototype is generated on the fly. So I'm actually going to go section by section and make sure. So right now what I'm figuring out is which of these information is actually in the company page, or should I go and do some web search? So that's what I'm figuring out. If I just allow a web search for each of this, it's the cost is going to blow up. Cool, Darun. Thanks. Um, yeah, I mean, it's good to know that you're also trying the same approach because, um, yeah, I don't know who else is trying the same way, right? Here are 10 examples from actual Kajabi run. I've included straightforward case and question. Evaluate each on the source root correct. Are the target market likely on Kajabi's website? Confidence high? Funding and ownership? Customer scale? Total addressable market? Pricing and okay, so it's doing this. Good, remove creative stories. Um, sales win rate, availability, note internal data only. Can you tell me what went into the LLM model and what when came out and what was the output? ELI5. Um, whether it's aside, root official side first, confidence side. Okay, 27 research questions, 158 URL address, likely source root, pages to inspect first. Okay, great. So it does a one full dump. Okay, what came out? Field pricing and packaging, likely. Okay, so let's decide to do this way. Um, update in the instructions and tell me the cost to do it for all 8 competitors. think overall it makes sense. So if there is not enough evidence from this LLM call, then what we do is just go find another source. Maybe we will do a web search and find more sources. We still need to test if we can actually retrieve this information from this one scrape. Probably, I mean, if we find all we can scrape one route, like one page, and fill out all the information in this prototype from which that, uh, like information from that page with which we can capture here, right? Kajabi plus 8 additional completers, 0.169. So the budget approximately is 20 cents. One separate call per company allowing parallel processing. Okay, so now if we are, so we capture the URLs for each section, assuming the 27 sections, right? So now for all these sections, we scrape the the website, so the URL, and then are we extracting the information related to all 27 sections from the scraped content in one go? Or how does how do we go from the scraping to filling out the information? And let's break it down and figure out how do we do it per competitor. No, I would not send every scrape page into one, not every scrape page, like one scrape page, and ask to complete all 27. That would make retracing this better. Plus, scrape each selected page once, store it once, and then extract one field at a time using the pages assigned to that field. Let's see what that looks like. Map company website, route all 27 fields, deduplicate select URL, scrape each unique page once, store page text and metadata, target market extractor, pricing extractor. So my question is if, okay, run a separate extractor job for each field. For the first version, each of the 21 fields, 27 fields gets zone focus extraction job. For example, pricing extractor retrieves only pricing field definition, Kajabi pricing page. Yeah, my question is, let's say the pricing page has information related to like 6 or 7 of the 27 fields we need to capture, hypothetically speaking. So is each extraction an LLM call, or can we combine them all into one LLM call to save costs? What's the most cost effective way to do this? The previous one extraction per call field approach. The most cost effective is one LLM call per scrape page. See, that's exactly what I thought. That's a better approach. Extracting evidence for every relevant field assigned to that page. Not one call per field and not one. Suppose routing assigned the pricing page to 7 fields. Pricing, blah, blah, blah. We send the page content once along with these 7 field definitions. Look for the evidence related to pricing. Each field response would contain an array. Yeah, see, this is a much better design. Okay, so let's try this out. Let's take one example, scrape one page, and extract all the fields for that from that one page and display all of it here, like in a structured data. Let's go through this and test it for one example and show me what we get. So, Daru, if you're still here, is your the app that you're working on also include these sort of agentic workflows? Are you also doing it in the same way for your app? Um, I don't know if you mentioned, I don't know what app you're building. I'm curious to know. Forge Global. So now I'll check what Forge Global is. Oh, okay. Private markets, like market data, yeah. What is their like total funding and all of that stuff? I see. They have like it's interesting. Maybe I could use this as a source to extract more information from your. Maybe it's just like distributed, not in one place, right? Um, also need to keep checking my Firecrawl. Firecrawl credits get exhausted so quickly. I probably need to also set up some kind of a check, a budget or something. Let's create another copy of this prototype into a test uh, directory, and let's keep all the values empty for now. Just have placeholder, just have like a simple hyphen. And inside that prototype, we will gradually start filling it and populate the results from this test Kajabi scrape that you just did and fill it inside that from the pricing page alone. I'm referring only to this one. And uh, let me examine how much data we could actually fill from here. Thanks, Tara. Uh, yeah. In the later version where you might be planning to scrape sites for data. Okay, cool. Enjoy your dinner. I think YouTube chat censored the website as. Oh, it doesn't allow links. Yeah, interesting. I could just like write the name and say .com or something like that, you know, like .com. Like something like this will actually won't be stripped off. I didn't think YouTube was stripping off all the links. Okay, one firewall credit plus GB fine costing found evidence of 10 to 27 fields and correctly returned none for 17. The most important finding cost is the 8307 output tokens, although 95% of the model cost mostly becomes hard to describe. Yeah, I don't see the link here. I think if we are able to get this one scrape, then we can follow the same process and try to scrape for all the competitors and test if it's actually working. Typing and I already see a response. I think there's a delay in terms of when I see your message and when you see the stream. I see your message much faster and you see my stream like much later and I'm also like responding immediately to your message. So maybe maybe I should like give it a couple of seconds and reply. Okay. Um, all 27 results, field, direct, accepted, human audit. How did it say human audit? I didn't audit it. It extracted from this page nothing. Refuse to invent the absent subscription prices. Our Firecrawl flattened the comparison table into sequential markup. Asking every page about all to is not the production efficient version. 17 out of 27 outputs only said no evidence. The production should send each page field selected for that page by routing. Okay. This preserves multi-field extraction while avoiding thousands of describing artifacts. While production should send each page um, field selected. Output tokens represent nice. Okay, for the fire crawl issue, we could also just get the HTML from Firecrawl and use that HTML to make sure the data is not misinterpreted. And can you explain in ELI5 what is this production version should do instead? Okay, so row rowuss.com. Yeah, I hope I get that right. Let me open it. Rowuss.com. Oh yeah, probably this. I think it works. Man, nice design. The home for designer bag lovers is where collectors, enthusiasts, and bag lovers gather. Post your daily carry, reviews of festival. Nice. Nice. I really think this is the time for all these niche apps, like niche interest apps. They're all gonna come up right now. It's so cool. Make collections. Oh, you can also buy and sell it. Wow, this seems like there's a lot of work here. Oh man, this is so cool. I love it. Um, I will go follow you on X. Um, yeah, on Instagram as well. And that's so cool. I'm very curious to see uh, try out the app. It's really nice. And your design's it's perfect. It's got this polish of a premium like designer bag level. Um, yeah. Which font are you using? Is the using a free font? Yeah. Maybe I think you could try some nice premium font. Definitely creates a good impression, but I think the colors and everything else is spot on. That's the right idea. With one adjustment, get both Markdown and HTML, but don't set the entire Markdown is the words copied from spreadsheet. The spreadsheet structure. JSON is our. Yeah, I mean, Apple and Google. I mean, there's nothing uh, like dangerous or any reason I see for them to reject you. So um, it would go through, I'm sure. Mm, HTML, clean markdown, HTML with page structure, code reconstruct table. Ask Firecrawl for both formats, use Markdown for ordinary language. Well, I don't know if we need both. Uh, okay. Then it receives the fields compatible with that page. Perhaps 6 to 10 fields, not all 27. For example, extract evidence for, okay, require LLM to cite the correct input. Like okay, let's test it. And I also wanted to put this. Good thing with Whisper Flow is I have uh, the previous thing I typed. Okay, tested. Um, yeah, I want to make another copy and test it there. Yeah, all the best, Taru. I hope your app picks up. It seems like a solid idea. But I'm curious what got you into this designer bag space. Uh, are you into designer bags? Is someone you know into it? Such a niche space. And designers bags can sell for, yeah, look at the price points. So, and it's also nice that you're targeting like the wealthy target audience. So for sure you would yeah, you would like you would be able to monetize it well. It's my guess. Yeah, I thought so. Nice. Yeah, I was watching this podcast, who was saying like this is like the new opportunity for a lot of women to start building apps because the whole app marketplace is full of apps made for men, and the space is gonna blow up right now because of a lot of women now also being able to build apps, and there's so much opportunity in like apps made for women. And that's true because like this person like made a huge like they I think at 100K MRR plus it's like insane success for this space. So maybe you're doing the right thing. Nice. Did you like actually do some kind of a market gap research or like you came up with the idea first, or did you come up with like did you research first and then come up with the idea? Probably the idea first, right? Because your wife already wanted designer bags and was probably looking for this, so the problem would have come first. Um, and how did you do the gap research? I'm curious if you did it. Yeah, so Daru, it's been 2.5 hours since streaming. I need to head out soon. I'm gonna come return back to this. Let me see if I can come back to this again in a few hours, but I'm sure it's already midnight for you. Um, Thanks for joining in, man. And yeah, good chat. And Uh, I hope to see you again in the next one. And yeah, then let's keep in touch. I will definitely go put my email and wait for a notification when your app is ready. Um, but yeah, thanks for all the tips and sticking around. I guess you're like the first person in my 8 days of live streaming who I don't know been on this chat and like yeah, just stuck around for this long. Thank you. All right, then I will stop streaming now and cheers.